A month has passed since the doll was abandoned. The protagonist continues living her daily life as usual, unaware of the growing number of missing person cases in the city. Among them is a 16-year-old girl named Mikiko Fujimaki, whose disappearance has caught the community's attention. Even students with no problems at school or home suddenly go missing, sparking rumors among classmates. One of the missing, Sakiguchi, was said to be hospitalized after a traffic accident, but he hasn't returned to school yet. The protagonist grows increasingly uneasy, wondering if the traffic accident story is really true. The protagonist struggles with uneasy feelings as she contemplates the doll. Unsure if it's just a toy or something more, determined to find answers, she heads to the staff room to inquire about Sakiguchi's hospital. Inside, she overhears teachers discussing troubling rumors of bullying in Nishiyama-sensei's class, adding to the growing tension around the missing students. The teacher calmly insists there's no bullying in her class, reassuring everyone that everything is fine. The staff exchange uneasy glances, clearly unconvinced. As the conversation ends, the protagonist politely excuses herself and leaves the room, her doubts lingering. Caught off guard, the protagonist nervously approaches the teacher, eager to ask her some pressing questions. The teacher offers a calm, knowing smile and suggests they move somewhere more private to talk. Without hesitation, they head toward a quieter room, the tension between them palpable. The protagonist cautiously asks the teacher if she can visit Sakiguchi's hospital after school. The teacher, calm but distant, advises against it, hinting that the protagonist doesn't have a good relationship with Sakiguchi and his friends. As she stands to leave, the teacher reveals a startling secret, that the protagonist was the one who reported Sakiguchi's drinking incident during the cultural festival, leaving her visibly shaken. The teacher's calm yet piercing question cuts through the tension, challenging the protagonist's understanding of the situation. The protagonist's eyes widen in shock, the weight of the revelation sinking in as the truth hits harder than expected. The teacher's gaze sharpens as she questions the protagonist's denial, while the protagonist, struggling with her emotions, quietly calls out to her. Tears well up as she admits her involvement. But the teacher remains composed, expressing disbelief that someone like the protagonist would betray Sakiguchi. The tension deepens as the teacher insists she doesn't see the protagonist as the type to snitch, leaving the truth hanging heavily between them. The teacher gently suggests that misunderstandings can be resolved and asks if the protagonist has apologized for causing the confusion. She reassures her that she's not blaming her, emphasizing the importance of honest communication to mend their friendship. As she takes the protagonist's hands, she reminds her that their bond with Takamine was just a momentary lapse, encouraging her to see it as a chance to reconnect. The teacher gently holds the protagonist's hands, reassuring her that acting with consideration for others will lead to good outcomes. With a warm smile, she encourages her to think of her as a friend rather than just a teacher, inviting her to seek support whenever she's in trouble. The protagonist listens, a small but hopeful smile beginning to form. A gentle smile spreads across the protagonist's face as she quietly acknowledges her understanding and expresses her gratitude. The moment feels tender and hopeful. The scene then shifts to the restroom door closing softly behind her. Alone in the restroom, she lets out a tired sigh, lost in thought as she pulls at her stockings. Suddenly, a loud knock startles her, and a voice calls out, asking if the stall is occupied. She hesitates, realizing there should be other available toilets nearby. A voice suddenly calls out from behind the restroom door, saying they have something to discuss. Startled, she adjusts her glasses and recognizes the voice, asking if it's really her. Turning toward the door, she cautiously invites them to speak, recalling their earlier conversation. A voice from behind the door says something is broken and causing trouble. The protagonist, confused and slightly uneasy, asks what they mean and what they're talking about. Her eyes widen with a mix of surprise and realization as she looks up, asking if they're truly friends because they confided in each other. The weight of the question hangs heavily in the tense silence. She nervously tries to deflect, suggesting they discuss the matter later, but the voice insists, questioning why she won't share when friends confide in each other. The protagonist's expression shifts, caught between hesitation and the pressure to reveal the truth. The tension builds as the voice demands an answer, urging her to explain. With a calm, almost cold smile, she dismisses the tension with a simple, "It's a hassle." Her words hang in the air, cutting through the unease as she questions the sincerity of their friendship, making it clear she sees the situation, and the people involved, in a much harsher light. She coldly dismisses the idea of friendship, insisting it's meaningless since friends eventually drift apart, and there's no proof either side truly considers the other a friend. With a sharp tone, she tells her to stop clinging to the notion of being bullied as a high schooler and to just apologize and resolve things quickly. As she opens the door, She asks if she's understood. The woman's calm demeanor falters as she notices the doll, her body tensing in surprise. She questions what it is, her curiosity piqued despite herself. Then, with a sharp tone, she warns the girl not to bring such things into the school, turning to leave the empty restroom behind. Her calm facade cracks as she spots the doll, a flicker of surprise and unease crossing her face. She mutters in disbelief, unable to hide the shock that the object has stirred within her. Without warning, the girl lunges forward, forcefully shoving her hand into the woman's mouth to silence her. The woman's eyes widen in shock, caught completely off guard by the sudden attack. In the next moment, the girl pins her against the wall, her intense gaze locking onto the stunned woman. The woman struggles desperately, muffled and panicked as the girl's hand clamps firmly over her mouth. The girl's fierce grip tightens, her eyes blazing with determination as she pins the woman against the wall. The woman's fear escalates, her mind racing as she cries out for help, horrified by the girl's sudden, violent transformation. The woman's shock deepens as the girl forcefully inserts a sharp needle into her mouth, leaving her frozen and unable to react. Her eyes widen in disbelief, sweat dripping down her face as panic sets in. The girl's hand then pulls the needle back out, the sudden pain causing the woman to cry out in agony. The girl stares coldly, needle poised threateningly as she declares that deceitful, wicked mouths are unnecessary. The woman's wide, terrified eye reflects her growing dread. In the eerie silence of the empty hallway, a faint, unsettling sound echoes ominously. The girl reflects quietly, considering that the teacher might actually want the class to argue. Memories of classmates insisting there's no bullying here, and that any conflict with Takamine was just a minor fallout flicker through her mind. Resolving to stay hidden in the distant bathroom until homeroom ends, she braces herself for what's to come. The girl's curiosity turns to shock as she quietly wonders if this is really bullying. Suddenly, she hears a loud noise and cautiously peeks into the bathroom, only to find the teacher collapsed on the floor. Panic rising, she rushes forward, urgently asking if the teacher is all right. The teacher, drenched in sweat and blood, forces a chilling, stitched smile as she utters a trembling apology. Her eerie expression sends a wave of dread through the girl, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. Horrified, she stares at the teacher lying motionless on the floor, her mind struggling to grasp the grim reality before her. The teacher's stitched smile now twisted into something far more sinister. The girl's voice trembles as she barely manages to call out, "Teacher?" The chilling scene sinks in, leaving her paralyzed with shock and fear. Haunted by the grotesque images of the teacher's stitched face, the girl is overwhelmed with terror, struggling to reconcile the nightmare before her. She desperately insists that the dolls should have been properly collected, refusing to believe such a horrifying sight could exist. Her panic escalates into a frantic cry, insisting that no doll should be here. This can't be real. Her trembling voice breaks the silence as she whispers the name Tomoko, clinging to a fragile thread of hope. Her wide, unblinking eyes reveal a mix of fear and desperate anticipation. Suddenly, a faint sound echoes down the empty hallway, drawing her attention toward an unseen presence just beyond the doorway. Peering cautiously around the corner, she freezes in terror at the sight before her. A doll-like girl standing motionless, her dress stained with dark, ominous blotches. The chilling stillness and the eerie figure's vacant eyes send a shiver down her spine, confirming that this nightmare is far from over. Frozen in shock, she stares wide-eyed at the doll-like girl, her mind struggling to accept the horrifying truth. The eerie figure's vacant gaze seems to ask a chilling question, deepening the unsettling silence between them. The name Tomoko lingers in the air, blurring the line between nightmare and reality. A mysterious girl, stained and eerie, appears suddenly in the hallway, leaving our protagonist frozen in shock. Panic rises as the girl edges closer, her unsettling presence overwhelming. Desperation takes hold. "Don't come any closer," she pleads, trying to keep the ominous figure at bay. Suddenly, a confident girl bursts through the door, demanding to know what's going on. The protagonist's friend recognizes her and urgently warns her to run. But the newcomer grabs the protagonist fiercely, shouting not to be touched. Tension escalates as the situation spirals out of control. The confident girl rushes into the room, shocked to find a teacher lying unconscious and bloodied on the floor. The protagonist's friend reacts with alarm, realizing the gravity of the situation. A crowd gathers, whispering anxiously as the reality sinks in. Someone is seriously hurt, and urgent help is needed immediately. Relief washes over the group as they hear the teacher's condition isn't life-threatening. Still, the protagonist is told to stay home from school for a while, a precaution that weighs heavily on everyone. As the conversation ends, The lingering uncertainty about how to handle the mental toll of the ordeal hangs in the air. Haunted by the terrifying image of the doll-like figure, the protagonist struggles to understand why it appeared at school and why it targeted the teacher. Fear and doubt gnaw at her as she questions if Tomoko's warnings were lies, her mind trembling under the weight of uncertainty. Haunted by guilt and confusion, she wonders if the teacher and Sakaguchi were caught up in this because of her. Overwhelmed, she questions what she should do next, her mind spiraling with doubt. The empty room around her echoes the loneliness she feels inside. A week later, the protagonist stares at her phone, reluctant to face the first day back at school. Though she doesn't want to worry her father any further, the thought of returning fills her with dread. Gathering her resolve, she tightens her tie and steps into the classroom, only to find several classmates absent. No doubt also reluctant to come back. Whispers fill the classroom as students question why the culprit hasn't been caught and why school has resumed. Two girls discuss a local urban legend tied to the strange incidents. Hinting it involves dolls, the protagonist overhears them, her curiosity piqued but quickly interrupted by a sharp glare from two other students demanding to know what she's staring at. The protagonist is unexpectedly greeted by a classmate, catching her off guard after so long. As she tries to respond, she notices something strange. The classroom feels emptier than before, and the presence of others seems to be fading away. Suddenly, a teacher's footsteps echo as they call for everyone to take their seats. A new teacher steps forward with a warm smile, introducing himself as the temporary homeroom teacher until Nishiyama returns. He acknowledges the shock everyone must feel about Nishiyama's continued hospitalization and encourages any anxious students to come to him with their concerns. Whether about school, future plans, or personal matters, the new teacher smiles warmly, asking the students to get along well with each other. As he takes attendance, the protagonist quietly observes him, sensing a kindness that feels different from Nishiyama's. She wonders if this teacher really is unlike the one they all knew before. The class shifts focus to the upcoming sports festival, with the teacher announcing that they'll be deciding the events today since the festival is just 2 weeks away. Despite the recent upheaval, the students begin to engage with the familiar rhythm of school life, raising their hands eagerly to volunteer for events. Our protagonist quietly notes how, even after everything, the everyday flow of their routine continues unchanged. Despite knowing the situation, Takamine switches things up as usual, impressing the protagonist who quietly admires her strength. Reflecting on her own past, she admits she couldn't act when it mattered and feels it's natural she was bullied. As she contemplates which sports festival events to join, she hopes to pick something that won't trouble others, perhaps an individual race. A girl with a calm smile raises her hand and warmly invites the protagonist to join her in the next relay event, breaking the tension with a friendly offer to team up. Surprised by the unexpected invitation, the protagonist hesitates but quickly reassures that it's not a problem. The girl with the warm smile gently asks if it's really okay to join. Her hope shining through, the group's excitement bubbles over as they happily agree to team up, ready to give their best as a 4-person relay team. The teacher smiles warmly, commenting on how close the group seems. The girls beam with excitement and camaraderie, but the protagonist looks uneasy, sensing that something unexpected is about to happen. Megumi Hidaka is unexpectedly called out by her classmate, who apologizes deeply for not being able to help her until now. The apology catches Megumi off guard, leaving her confused and searching for answers. Despite her hesitation and fear of being disliked by Takamine and the others, Megumi insists that now is the chance to change how everyone sees her after the recent scandal. She recalls how the whole class is shaken by the incident with Nishiyama-sensei and how winning first place in the relay could help restore her image. The scene ends with Megumi and 2 classmates standing together, united in their resolve. With a sincere smile, she expresses her desire to return to the close-knit class they once were. The thought of going back stirs a mix of emotions, as memories of happier times flash through her mind. She then asks if they can work hard together to make that reunion a reality, hoping to restore everything to how it used to be. Despite her lingering doubts about whether Takamine will truly forgive her, she expresses a heartfelt wish to return to how things were before the cultural festival. Encouraged by her friend's support and reassurances that the plan is well underway, she finds a quiet resolve to give it her all starting tomorrow. The hope of mending their fractured bonds shines through her tentative smile. Though she agreed to participate, doubt gnaws at her, wondering if she's really suited for the important role in the relay, especially since she's not athletic and fears she might just get in the way. Memories of feeling isolated after the cultural festival haunt her, making her worry that trying to return might only worsen things. When a man comments on how unusual it is for her to join the relay, she awkwardly explains she forgot to bring her printout, while inwardly questioning if she's truly ready to take this step. Though uncertain and hesitant, She quietly affirms her decision to join the relay. Her motivation runs deeper than just herself. She longs to restore the close bonds of their old class and fulfill Hidaka's wish as well. With a newfound determination, she resolves that she absolutely must make this hope come true. As she runs, the weight of doubt presses down harder. Her legs feel heavy, and she struggles to keep up, apologizing breathlessly. She admits she's not doing well at all, watching from the sidelines. A teammate reassures her that her times are still within a normal range and encourages her to think of it as just a starting point. Despite the support, she knows she has to overcome this hurdle herself if she wants to contribute to the relay. Determined to improve, she suddenly dashes off, declaring she'll ask the teacher for advice. Her teammates watch her go, surprised but hopeful. Meanwhile, the teacher and another student discuss her progress, with the teacher encouraging her enthusiasm despite knowing improvement won't come overnight. The teacher, full of energy, announces that everyone will now run 3 laps around the outer track to build stamina. The girls react with surprise and frustration, one shouting that this is the worst. As they start running, one apologizes quietly, feeling guilty for causing extra trouble, while another worries aloud about getting exhausted right before the big event. Grateful for the teacher's kindness, she admits how happy she feels. The teacher reminds her that winning first place requires hard training and that having a supportive mentor is a real strength. Encouraged, the girl expresses how much she wants to be useful to the teacher, and her teammates cheer her on as they run together. Filled with determination, she vows to make their shared dream come true and promises to give her best effort. Her teammate beams with confidence, agreeing enthusiastically that they will claim first place together. As they part ways, the resolve to absolutely secure victory burns brightly within her. The girl mutters to herself, clearly annoyed. What a pain! Meanwhile, she wonders why others put so much effort into friendship. Questioning its true importance, she reflects coldly on how she and another use each other to gain favor with their teacher, while the other exploits her to shed unwanted followers. She coldly muses that friendship should be skillfully used to her advantage, glad that the teacher's goodwill has been earned. Seeing this as a perfect opportunity, she resolves to keep gaining the teacher's favor while staying on track. Suddenly, her attention is caught by a voice calling her name, Hidaka Megumi. Her attention sharpens as a small girl, holding a book and staring intently, calls out to her with a haunting question. Are you really my friend? The unsettling innocence in the girl's eyes forces the protagonist to confront the true meaning behind their connection. Our hero freezes in shock as the doll suddenly moves and speaks, even calling out the protagonist's name. Realizing this could be the mysterious entity rumored to have attacked Nishiyama-sensei. Fear grips the boy. Clutching a lost attendance book the doll holds, he decides to flee before things get worse. As the boy stumbles and falls, he notices his shoelaces have mysteriously come undone. The doll's eerie voice questions if they are truly friends, casting doubt and fear over the boy. Forced to respond, the girl nervously affirms their friendship, though uncertainty lingers in her eyes. The doll coldly reveals that their friend once said being friends was a hassle and even lied about it. Shocked and desperate, the girl fiercely insists that true friends forgive each other, no matter how difficult things get. As the doll presses, questioning if everyone really gets along, the girl defiantly swears it's true. The doll's chilling voice relentlessly repeats, "Really? Really?" As it stares unblinkingly at the girl, overwhelmed and trembling, the girl stammers her desperate affirmation, struggling to convince both the doll and herself. The tension thickens as the doll's cold gaze lingers, waiting for the truth. The girl, overwhelmed and trembling, makes a desperate promise as tears well in her eyes. Sitting alone on the sidewalk, she tries to steady herself, grappling with the weight of her emotions. Suddenly, a flicker of hope crosses her face as she wonders if she has truly been forgiven. The girl, still shaken, questions why the doll has appeared at her place and reminds herself she needs to be careful, just like her teacher. Suddenly, she's grabbed by a classmate calling out her name in surprise. Meanwhile, a serious-looking figure asks about the condition of the relay team, pressing for one more chance. The conversation shifts to the relay team's condition, with one student questioning if the new teacher is just pretending to be strict. The boy reveals he has something he wants to verify and is eager to get back into the swim. Meanwhile, a news report hints at a mysterious disappearance linked to a friendship dispute. Adding a layer of intrigue, outside, the girl tries to focus on practice despite her fear, but a classmate calls out to her, urging her to keep going. The girl is caught off guard when a classmate asks if she's going to visit Nishiyama-sensei, stirring up uneasy feelings. Rumors swirl among the students about strange happenings linked to the teacher, hinting at urban legends and mysterious incidents, trying to lighten the mood. Another classmate reminds everyone that rest is important, urging them to focus on practice instead of unsettling talk. Tensions rise as the girl firmly tells everyone to stop talking about the rumors. The others question when the two will practice, pointing out that one of them is slower and suggesting they learn from a more experienced student. Defending her friend, one insists she's trying her best and that the real issue is someone else pushing too hard, while the other quietly apologizes, feeling the weight of the confrontation. The tension lingers as one girl questions if even taking a break is allowed, accusing the others of being too serious about the relay. The protagonist stands silently, feeling the pressure, before suddenly remembering she left her water bottle back in the classroom. As the more assertive student calls everyone back to practice, the group reluctantly moves on, the weight of expectations still hanging in the air. The protagonist stares in shock at her palm, where two small, sharp blades are embedded, blood beginning to seep around them. Her expression twists in disbelief and fear as she struggles to comprehend what just happened. The girl's eyes widen in horror as she screams, her fear mirrored by the others watching from their desks. The tension escalates as a cold voice declares, "If you can't do it, then it's over," pushing the protagonist to the breaking point. Suddenly, she bolts from the classroom, panic driving her desperate escape. She dashes down the empty hallway, breath ragged as panic fuels her flight. Suddenly, weakness overtakes her, and she stumbles, collapsing against the wall. Struggling to stay upright, pain and frustration wash over her as she realizes the strange force has been watching her all along. Just as she tries to steady herself, another girl suddenly leans heavily against her, causing alarm and concern to flood her face. She quickly asks if the other is all right, worried if she's been hurt. The moment hangs tense as realization dawns, her eyes widening with a new, unsettling awareness. Overwhelmed with guilt and anxiety, she confesses her fear of having lost control and the desperate need to apologize and be forgiven. The other girl, still holding her, gently urges her to reconcile and move forward together. The fragile moment lingers, hinting at a chance for healing. The protagonist nervously approaches and grabs the other girl. Sensing something is wrong, she hesitantly asks if she can find out what happened. Noticing the strange behavior of Sugawara and the others, the girl, caught off guard, begins to reveal the truth, her grip tightening with anxiety. The girl nervously brushes off the tension, insisting it was just a small argument and that she'll go apologize now. The protagonist, feeling the weight of responsibility, quietly worries she's been putting too much pressure on Hidaka and that she needs to try harder. Meanwhile, the others gather as one of them apologizes sincerely for the earlier incident. The tension begins to ease as one girl apologizes for speaking too harshly, admitting she also struggled to keep up. Another encourages everyone to move forward at their own pace, fostering a sense of understanding and support. Yet, beneath the surface, the protagonist wrestles with a dark uncertainty, wondering if she can truly handle this alone, and if the others will ever let her go. The protagonist's grip tightens as she silently resolves to claim first place, questioning if that will finally earn her true friendship, despite the pressure. A teammate gently suggests not to rush and calls the practice session to a close for the day. Meanwhile, another girl volunteers to run laps, prompting concern from the others, but she insists on continuing, while the protagonist hesitates, caught between determination and doubt. Despite her fierce determination, the protagonist senses her energy is overwhelming the others, causing a rift in their unity. One teammate gently asks her to ease up for the sake of the group, while another apologizes quietly, feeling the weight of the moment. Then, unexpectedly, an invitation to practice together on the weekend sparks surprise and a flicker of hope. The protagonist quietly reflects on how her actions have increasingly troubled those around her. Vowing not to cause any more trouble, she feels a mix of gratitude and determination as she acknowledges the kindness of a teammate who's willing to support her through the weekend. With renewed resolve, she silently promises herself to do her best moving forward. The protagonist notices something is off as her teammate struggles to catch her breath, her time significantly slower than expected. Concern grows as the teammate leans over, drenched in sweat, clearly unwell. Suddenly, blood appears on her leg, shocking everyone and raising urgent alarm. The teammate insists that pushing too hard will only hurt her performance in the real competition, urging her not to overdo it. Despite feeling guilty for causing trouble, the protagonist is encouraged to keep going, reminded that they need to recover before the upcoming cultural festival. A serious question is raised about why she's so determined to be number one, suggesting there are other ways to fit in with the class. The protagonist quietly admits she wants to work hard together with Hidaka, expressing how happy she was that Hidaka invited her and encouraged her efforts. She reveals her wish to take first place alongside Hidaka, leaving her teammate feeling the weight of her determination. As the mood shifts, The teammate awkwardly suggests moving on to start practicing their starts again. Despite lingering doubts about trusting someone who's been treated like a pawn, the protagonist chooses to believe in their friendship, feeling a surprising ease in working together. With a quiet resolve, they agree to keep pushing forward side by side. Outside, the vibrant atmosphere of the sports festival begins to buzz with excitement. The teacher warmly thanks the protagonist for her dedicated care of the students at the incident scene. Praising her efforts, encouraged by the teacher's support, she feels reassured and confident, telling herself she can definitely take first place. Just then, a classmate calls her to head to the meeting spot, breaking her focus. Nervous tension hangs in the air as the protagonist clenches her fist, determined not to drop the baton. Her teammate admits she's nervous too but smiles warmly, promising they'll definitely win together. The group gathers, steeling themselves for the upcoming class relay race. With bright smiles and hands joined together, the team rallies with a spirited cheer, vowing to claim first place. Their shared determination fills the air as they prepare to give it their all. The bond between them shines stronger than ever, ready to face the challenge ahead. The group encourages the two runners, their cheers filling the air as the race is about to start. Our protagonist remembers she needs to tie her headband, but as she does, a sudden sharp pain shoots through her hand. She winces, realizing something is wrong as the headband slips from her grasp, pins falling to the ground. The pins scatter on the ground as the headband slips away, a silent warning echoing in her mind. Despite the pain and doubt creeping in, she forces herself to focus, tightening the headband with determination. The race begins, and the runners burst forward, the tension mounting as she steels herself for the challenge ahead. The first-year interclass relay has officially begun, the runners bursting forward with fierce determination. The girl with the black headband is now leading the D group, her pace steady despite the pressure. Watching anxiously, our protagonist hears the announcement. They're currently in third place. Despite the pain, she reassures herself that Hataru's current position is within expectations. Her teammate calls out encouragement, ready to take the baton with confidence, fueled by determination. The next runner bursts forward, vowing to turn the race around. The announcer calls out that the A group in white shirts is quickly taking the lead, impressing the crowd. A girl watches with admiration, proud that their former track club member is leading the race. As the baton is passed, the next runner is urged on with a determined shout, confident she can close the gap and turn the tide. The baton slips from the runner's grasp, falling to the ground in a sudden, heart-stopping moment. Both runners freeze, eyes wide with shock as the crucial exchange falters. Watching from the sidelines, the protagonist's expression shifts to one of disbelief and concern. The announcer urgently calls out that the A group has dropped the baton, sending shockwaves through the crowd. Our hero's face drains of color, eyes wide in disbelief as the gravity of the mistake sinks in. From the sidelines, a teammate desperately urges the runner to quickly retrieve the fallen baton. The race continues with Group D now in the lead, while Group A struggles to catch up. On the sidelines, some watch with amusement, commenting on the tension. But one girl is overwhelmed by panic and despair, her mind racing with fear of failure and its consequences. As the runners push forward, the weight of losing feels unbearable to her, threatening to shatter her dreams. Despite the setback, the race presses on as the announcer excitedly notes that only 4 runners remain and that Mochizuki is pulling ahead. Our hero clenches the baton tightly, determination burning in her eyes. With fierce resolve, she sprints forward, pushing her limits to help Group A close the gap. From the sidelines, teammates shout encouragement with fierce determination, their voices cutting through the tension. The protagonist's eyes blaze with an unyielding desire to win, the weight of that wish driving her forward. With every ounce of strength, she pushes ahead, shouting her resolve to claim victory. Just as she pushes forward with fierce determination, her foot catches, and she stumbles, crashing to the ground. The shock ripples through the crowd, their wide eyes filled with disbelief and concern. The lead runner surges ahead, leaving her momentarily behind as the race takes a sudden, heart-wrenching turn. Collapsed on the track, she struggles to lift her head, the weight of defeat pressing down on her. The announcer declares the end of the race, with Group D taking first place. Standing alone, baton dropped, she faces the harsh reality of falling behind despite her fierce efforts. Tension rises as one girl accuses another of deliberately dropping the baton, her voice filled with shock and disbelief. The accused, caught off guard, stammers in denial, trying to explain herself. The atmosphere crackles with suspicion and confusion. The tension breaks as one girl urgently calls out to Kyo, catching everyone's attention. Meanwhile, a heated accusation is thrown. Kyo supposedly hit the baton out of the other girl's hand on purpose during practice, yet never once was this brought up before. The accuser's frustration boils over as she insists Kyo is trying to blame Mochizuki for the incident, deepening the conflict. The tension escalates as one girl grabs Kyo by the shoulders, demanding to know what she's trying to do. Kyo, visibly shaken, admits she's scared of Megumi's recent behavior. Meanwhile, the accuser struggles to process Kyo's explanation, her shock evident. She reveals she knows about the secret practice sessions the two had on their days off, breaking the illusion that the three had always been close. The girl's frustration boils over as she insists it's a huge betrayal, feeling like only Mochizuki was left behind in a bad class. She admits that if things keep going this way, even being first place won't matter to her anymore. Kyo, still shaken, questions if this is really the reason behind everything, her voice barely steady. The accuser's eyes widen in disbelief as she utters Megumi's name, struggling to accept the situation. Meanwhile, another girl tries to comfort Kyo, assuring her it's okay and that she understands, even as the tension lingers in the air. One girl boldly admits she hates the idea that Megumi used Kyo and their friend to get closer to their teacher, even laughing at how obvious it was. Meanwhile, others quietly confess they also suspected Megumi wanted to take advantage of the situation. Feeling betrayed by her silence and hidden intentions, the tension thickens as they all start to question Megumi's true motives. Tears streaming down her face, one girl painfully declares that Megumi was never truly their friend. The protagonist, struggling to process this betrayal, quietly asks when it all started. Just then, a calm voice interrupts, reminding everyone there in the first aid tent and urging them to return to their classrooms, promising to talk more later. The protagonist's panic spirals as she questions if she's really going to be killed by the mysterious entity. Struggling to calm down, a friend gently urges her to relax and take a drink, but the sudden sight of the ice cubes causes her to scream in shock. The spilled water and ice cubes cause a sudden stir among the bystanders. Their whispers filled with unease. Panic overtakes the protagonist as she gasps, convinced she's about to be killed by the mysterious force. Desperately, she rushes toward a storage room, knowing she must hide, but struggles to find a safe place to conceal herself. The mysterious figure suddenly reveals herself from beneath a coat, her wide, unblinking eyes fixed on the protagonist. Despite desperate pleas that they are still friends, the figure coldly dismisses the bond, declaring it was never true. The protagonist's panic escalates as the ominous presence closes in, leaving her trapped and terrified. The mysterious figure leans in close, her cold eyes unblinking as she asks if the protagonist is willing to risk her life. Panic-stricken, the protagonist tries to pull away, but the figure's grip tightens with an unsettling force. Helpless and trembling, the protagonist realizes she's completely at the mercy of this chilling presence. The mysterious figure's grip tightens mercilessly, causing the protagonist to cry out in pain and plead for it to stop. The chilling voice coldly suggests it would be better if someone found her. As the protagonist's desperate apologies go unheard, meanwhile, in a distant scene, others discuss someone's absence, unaware of the terrifying ordeal unfolding. The protagonist learns that the missing person hasn't returned despite contacting their guardian, prompting her to ask if she can continue searching. Determined, she runs through the area, feeling the weight of wanting to truly become friends and understand the truth, even if it means being used. Spotting an open warehouse door, she steels herself to investigate everything thoroughly. Stepping cautiously into the dimly lit warehouse, she calls out for Hidaka, her voice echoing through the cluttered space. As she moves deeper inside, the silence and scattered boxes heighten her unease. Realizing there's no response, she quietly admits to herself that Hidaka isn't here. A sudden noise from the box catches her attention, making her heart race with a mix of fear and curiosity. She hesitates, her wide eyes filled with disbelief as she reaches out slowly toward it. The tension builds as she struggles to convince herself it couldn't be what she fears. Her breath catches as she peers into the box, revealing a small, curled-up figure surrounded by crumpled paper. The sight confirms her worst fears, leaving her frozen in shock and disbelief. The weight of the moment presses down, hinting at the painful truth she must now face. Our hero discovers a girl trapped inside a box and screams out in shock. The girl inside weakly calls for help, her eyes filled with tears as she struggles to stay conscious. Panic and urgency fill the air as the protagonist desperately pleads for someone to come to her rescue. Desperately trying to understand her faint words, the protagonist promises to call for help immediately. As paramedics arrive, the girl is carefully loaded onto a stretcher, her weak warning still lingering in the air. The urgency to save her grows stronger with every passing second. The shock deepens as the protagonist struggles to comprehend why the doll is connected to Hidaka-san's condition. Overwhelmed by guilt, she questions if her involvement caused this tragedy. Meanwhile, elsewhere, two girls casually discuss the chaos at their school, hinting at a deeper investigation behind the scenes. The group gathers casually at a cafe, where one of them shows a disturbing photo on their phone, an image of Hidaka-san being carried away, bruised and unconscious. The others react with a mix of shock and uneasy amusement, realizing this incident mirrors a past event involving Nishiyama-sensei. The unsettling connection deepens as they quietly acknowledge the eerie repetition. The group discusses the strange pattern targeting their class, suspecting the strangeness is fixated on friendships. One of them questions if humans could really be behind such events, while another points out that similar cases keep emerging, prompting deeper investigation. They note that victims often have conflicts with close friends before going missing, hinting that this latest incident fits the same troubling trend. The group considers that the strange occurrences might stem from an entity that cannot tolerate false friendships. They reflect on Hidaka's distrustful nature and Nishiyama-sensei's reluctance to discuss friends, noting a pattern of victims having troubled relationships. As they plan to investigate further among classmates, the atmosphere shifts when their order arrives, and a mix-up reveals one member's shellfish allergy, adding a moment of everyday concern amid the tension. The protagonist casually taunts someone about how light their apology feels, despite nearly being killed. When a shellfish allergy is revealed, a friend quickly denies it, but the protagonist laughs it off, enjoying the moment. He then admits to liking to capture others' misfortunes on camera as a way to relieve stress, showing a darker side beneath his calm exterior. The group discusses Ryuya's recovery, surprised at how quickly he's improving after such a serious accident. One of them mentions they should go visit him soon. Meanwhile, the protagonist reflects alone, holding a photo and realizing the person targeting those connected to him is a stranger, deepening the mystery. The protagonist recalls how Hidaka was strangely close to the doll, pressured to get along, and pushed into a corner by it. As she anxiously searches on her phone for the doll's current location, a chilling thought crosses her mind. Could she have been involved in something terrible after all? Her heart races with fear as the possibility dawns that she might have been just like those before her, trapped and manipulated by the sinister doll. A simple message from her father reminds her to buy soy sauce, grounding her in everyday life despite the fear gripping her. Though hesitant and scared to go outside, she steels herself and decides she must go shopping, venturing out on her bicycle. She rides through the quiet streets, the weight of her worries lingering as she moves forward. As she rides her bike, two masked figures in a nearby car watch her intently, exchanging a cryptic remark. The sudden sound of the car engine revving startles her, heightening the tension in the quiet street. Suddenly, a shadowy figure grabs her from behind, silencing her with a firm hand over her mouth. Panic floods her eyes as she struggles, caught completely off guard. Nearby, two more figures quickly surround her, tightening their grip as the danger closes in. The woman leans in close, her voice cold and commanding as she tells the terrified girl to behave and stop struggling. The girl's wide, panicked eyes reveal her growing fear and desperation. Meanwhile, a man in a nearby hideout casually announces over the phone that they've captured Tomoko Mochizuki. The bandaged figure sits ominously, gripping a crutch and commanding, "Bring her here quickly." A close-up of his intense, unblinking eye reveals a deadly resolve as he threatens, "I'll kill her." The protagonist finds herself surrounded by unfamiliar people, confusion and fear washing over her as she wonders where she is and who these strangers are. Suddenly, a mysterious figure wrapped in bandages and holding crutches appears, greeting her by name and sending a chill down her spine. The tension rises as she struggles to understand the situation she's been thrown into. The bandaged figure's chilling demand to bring out the doll sends a wave of terror through the protagonist, who instinctively recoils. His threat to destroy everyone present only deepens the fear gripping her. Suddenly, a familiar voice breaks through the tension, calling out a name that shocks her to her core. The bandaged figure accuses the protagonist of orchestrating everything, demanding answers about the doll and what she has done. Fearful and desperate, she pleads that she doesn't understand what the doll is or what it means. His anger escalates violently as he orders her to produce the doll immediately, refusing to accept her ignorance. The protagonist coughs nervously, struggling to explain that she doesn't even know where the doll came from. The bandaged figure is stunned by the situation, muttering his disbelief. Meanwhile, a confident woman appears, crossing her arms and asking if there's any trouble. The protagonist nervously suggests the doll might be obsessively attached to friends, and could even attack those connected to her. The confident woman realizes the doll might be using the protagonist as a hostage to lure others in. The protagonist nervously agrees this is likely the case. Meanwhile, the bandaged figure declares he will test this by using her to draw out the doll, and then destroy it himself. The protagonist, sweating and determined. Insists she won't run away and desperately wants to stop the doll somehow. The bandaged man coldly reminds her that escaping is pointless in this isolated, unlit place with no one else around. He listens with a slight, intrigued expression as she pleads her resolve. The bandaged man lashes out fiercely, warning her not to underestimate him and vowing to crush the doll to reclaim his honor. Though she apologizes, clearly shaken, he commands her to stay quiet and obedient. Despite her fear, she quietly agrees, bracing herself for what's to come. The protagonist anxiously wonders if the doll will really come. While the tough woman reminds her not to contact her parents to avoid trouble, the hooded figure questions what she actually did and if anyone hired her, pressing her to confess without delay. As he readies a power tool, he coldly warns that he's willing to use even harsher methods if necessary, intensifying the threat. The hooded figure urges the woman to follow Tatsuya's orders, while the tough woman remains skeptical, doubting the doll will actually come. The hooded man questions if she truly believes in the doll, and she hesitantly admits she does. He reflects on how he initially thought she was the mastermind but now feels uncertain, wondering what really happened. Meanwhile, the bandaged man sits silently, his body mutilated, as the hooded figure bitterly recalls the torment he endured, questioning who could harbor such hatred to buy something so monstrous. The tough woman doubts the doll will actually come, reasoning that it's hard to believe someone would seriously think an accident or strange phenomenon caused all this. The hooded figure, growing impatient, insists they have no choice but to act now and can't just stand by silently while their ally is attacked. Meanwhile, the young girl quietly murmurs the word friend, hinting at deeper emotions beneath the tension. Suddenly, the lights flicker and go out, plunging the group into darkness. Confused murmurs spread as they wonder if the power has gone out or if a breaker has tripped. One of them grabs a flashlight and heads off to check the situation, while the bandaged man watches silently, alert to the unfolding disturbance. The eerie doll suddenly speaks, warning, "Don't turn on the light." The hooded man recoils in shock, struggling to believe what he just heard, questioning who could have brought such a thing. His unease grows as he wonders if the doll actually spoke to him. The doll, holding a power tool, calmly reminds them not to turn on the light, her eerie presence intensifying the tension. The hooded man's shock deepens as he struggles to believe what he just heard. Suddenly, frantic noises erupt nearby, drawing the bandaged man's immediate attention as he hurriedly moves toward the disturbance, demanding to know what's happening. The hooded man's shock deepens as he stares at the eerie doll, sweat dripping down his face in disbelief. Suddenly, the doll's unsettling question cuts through the tension. "Are you all friends?" The chilling silence that follows hints at an ominous revelation yet to come. A mysterious voice calls out, asking if everyone is a friend, sending chills through the group, confused and wary. They wonder where the voice is coming from. Our heroine's eyes widen in shock. It's the voice of the dolls. The man in the hood clutches his face in agony, his eyes bleeding as he desperately demands to know what's happening to him. Around him, the others watch in shock and confusion, unable to understand the sudden torment. Suddenly, the hooded figure lunges forward with a rope in hand, shouting as he targets something unseen. Frustrated and desperate, the hooded man curses as he searches for his target. But the power is out and nothing responds. Meanwhile, two others argue over the strange events, one insisting it's just a quarrel while the other senses something truly abnormal. As they cautiously approach an ominous open doorway, a quiet tension hangs between them, hinting at the fear creeping into their minds. A doll suddenly appears behind the man, holding a strange weapon and asking coldly if he plans to abandon his friends and run away. The man's eye widens in shock as the chilling question sinks in. As screams echo and glass shatters, the group turns in alarm, trying to understand the chaos unfolding nearby. The doll calmly sits over a fallen man, chillingly stating that true friends are the ones who save each other. The tension spikes as the doll raises a weapon, while the others watch in stunned silence, fear evident on their faces. The tension escalates as one of the group, breathing heavily, taunts the others about their obsession with friendship, questioning if they're truly satisfied with their loyalty. The wide-eyed stare of the doll-like figure reveals a chilling mix of shock and realization, as the unsettling challenge hangs heavily in the air. The doll's cold, unwavering gaze meets the others as she calmly praises them with a chilling, "Well done." Meanwhile, chaos erupts around them. Screams fill the air as the doll relentlessly fires the weapon, leaving the group in shock and despair. The doll, weapon in hand, eerily warns that friends will die, her expression cold and unyielding. Meanwhile, a terrified girl pleads desperately for her to stop, her voice trembling with fear and sorrow. The bandaged man, eyes wide with fury, swings his weapon down with fierce determination, shouting that monsters don't listen to reason. Despite his effort, a shadowy figure swiftly dodges, leaving him frustrated and muttering curses under his breath. The bandaged man struggles to maintain his footing, his crutches clattering to the ground as he falters under the relentless pressure. Despite his pain and the darkness surrounding him, his fierce determination burns bright, cursing his own body for holding him back. Meanwhile, the doll's cold, unwavering gaze fixes on him, weapon raised and ready, as the tension between them reaches a breaking point. The girl screams in pain as the shadowy figure attacks her, her body writhing from the sudden assault. Desperation and fear flood her eyes as she pleads for the violence to stop, her voice trembling with sorrow. But beneath her fragile facade, a cold, unsettling gaze pierces through, hinting at something far more dangerous lurking within. The bandaged man, eyes blazing with fury, shouts a curse as he lunges forward. The girl's expression shifts to shock as he grabs her suddenly, their struggle intensifying with a clash of force and desperation. The bandaged man pants heavily, looming over a girl who lies unconscious, her face partially hidden by her flowing hair. A sinister grin spreads across his face as he declares victory, convinced that the battle is now his. Just as the bandaged man gloats, the girl suddenly awakens with a fierce determination. Grabbing hold of a nearby object, the man's smug expression shifts to shock and frustration as she fights back with unexpected strength. The tension escalates as she twists the object, breaking it with a powerful grip. The girl, now fully alert, aims a gun with cold precision at the bandaged man. He desperately struggles to defend himself, his frustration mounting as he realizes the fight is far from over. Despite his efforts to push back, he's forced to retreat, gritting his teeth in anger and disbelief. The group senses a strange, foul odor spreading through the area, causing unease among them. As the stench grows stronger, the girl's expression shifts to shock and urgency. Realizing something is terribly wrong, she shouts for everyone to run, fearing an imminent threat. An intense explosion erupts, sending debris flying as the bandaged man is thrown back by the blast. The group recoils in shock and fear, covering their faces and screaming in terror as the chaos unfolds around them. The bandaged man reacts with shock as debris flies toward him, narrowly dodging a flying chair. Meanwhile, a masked figure urgently calls out for help, shouting for a Fuji to lend a hand as others flee the chaotic scene. The bandaged man admits his limitations, confessing he can't handle the situation alone. As another figure flees, apologizing desperately, the bandaged man's expression darkens with a mix of frustration and sorrow. He questions why this is happening to them, haunted by the weight of their shared predicament. The girl's cold words cut through the tension, accusing him that they were never truly friends. The bandaged man struggles to rise, his face a mix of pain and anger as he demands silence. Despite the harsh exchange, she challenges him, asking if friends would really abandon each other now. The girl coldly accuses him that despite being surrounded by so many, there were no true friends among them. As the bandaged man collapses with a crash, she watches silently, her expression unreadable. The weight of betrayal hangs heavy in the air. Refusing to give in, the bandaged man roars defiantly, declaring he won't die so easily. With fierce determination, he grabs the girl, insisting she come with him. There's no way he'll face this alone. The tension escalates as their fates become intertwined in this desperate struggle. As chaos erupts around her, the girl coughs violently, struggling to stay standing. She hears urgent calls to escape through another exit and sees others rushing toward it. Just as she tries to follow, a sudden explosion rocks the area, forcing her to dive for cover in a desperate attempt to survive. As smoke and debris fill the air, the girl collapses to the ground, overwhelmed by the explosion's aftermath. Her eyes widen in shock as she calls out desperately, her voice trembling with fear and urgency. The chaos around them intensifies, leaving their fate hanging in the balance. The girl's panic grows as she calls out desperately for Sakiguchi, fearing he might die if things stay as they are. She breaks into a run, heart pounding, searching frantically for any other way he could have escaped. She peers anxiously through a small opening, calling out desperately but finding no sign of him anywhere. Suddenly, a wave of intense heat hits her, making her recoil in shock. Frantically, she grabs at the grate, pleading for him to come out as she wrestles with what to do next. Determined, she climbs through the small opening despite the rising heat, her eyes filled with tears as she calls out his name again and again. The smoke and flames swirl around her, but she refuses to give up, desperate to find him. Her voice breaks through the chaos, echoing with hope and fear. Through the swirling smoke and flames, a small, soot-covered girl appears. Her wide eyes filled with a haunting stillness. The protagonist's breath catches in shock as she recognizes the figure before her. Horrified, she covers her mouth as the soot-covered girl advances. Her eyes empty and unsettling. The chilling realization dawns. Tomoko is truly a friend, but not in the way she hoped. The haunting presence reaches out, blurring the line between familiarity and nightmare. The protagonist's eyes widen in shock as a grotesque, monstrous figure crashes into the scene, its disjointed limbs and bulging eyes creating a horrifying spectacle. Nearby, a battered man struggles to stay upright, gasping for breath as he clutches a broken chair for support. The protagonist calls out desperately to him, her voice trembling with fear and concern. Desperation fills the air as the protagonist pleads for the battered man to stay conscious. But his body betrays him, coughing violently and slipping away. Her breath quickens with panic, eyes darting as she struggles to hold on to hope. Outside, the remnants of the monstrous figure lie broken and lifeless, while the world around them seems to crumble into chaos and ash. In a tense hospital room, the protagonist lies in bed, oxygen mask on, her eyes heavy but alert. A man rushes to her side, calling her name with overwhelming relief, and she responds weakly, grateful to see him. The atmosphere shifts as the man clutches her gently, while nearby, a nurse urges him to stay calm for her sake. Tension fills the hospital room as the man, desperate for answers, demands to know why she lied about being late and why she always keeps him in the dark. The protagonist remains silent, her guilt weighing heavily as she quietly apologizes. A doctor steps in, urging the man to calm down for her sake, assuring everyone that she is safe for now. The tension rises as the woman urgently asks about Sakaguchi, revealing his role as a group leader. The protagonist quietly admits that she was the one who got involved, not him. Meanwhile, a doctor explains that Sakaguchi's burns are severe, hinting at the gravity of his condition. The doctor explains that Sakaguchi is still in intensive care and that even if he recovers, it will take time before he can speak again. The protagonist listens quietly, her eyes filled with a heavy mix of emotions as she nods in response. Back in the classroom, whispers spread about the fire at the abandoned factory, linking it to both Nozuki and Hidaka's teacher. The protagonist's unease grows as she overhears a chilling question. Could the boy really be cursed by the doll? The unsettling suspicion hangs heavy as the scene fades, leaving the mystery unresolved. Whispers spread through the classroom, suggesting the doll might be cursed. Our protagonist is shocked, questioning why anyone would bring up the doll. Then, a classmate reveals a mysterious photo taken at an abandoned factory, one that's been causing a stir online, and shares it with everyone, leaving her stunned and fearful that someone secretly took the picture. The boy points out that the doll in the photo closely resembles the one Mochizuki-san used to have, matching in size and silhouette. The protagonist's shock deepens as she recalls that moment vividly. Under pressure, she stammers, struggling to explain, while another classmate smirks, asking Mochizuki-san what she thinks about it. Overwhelmed by the mounting accusations, she trembles as dark thoughts swirl around her, the pressure making her heart pound wildly. The chilling realization hits. She's being called a murderer. Haunted by guilt, she quietly apologizes, confessing that everything is her fault. As ghostly images of eerie dolls seem to close in around her. The tension in the classroom escalates as a confident girl mocks the protagonist, comparing this moment to the culture festival incident. Another student harshly tells her that apologizing won't change anything and demands she stop coming to school. Overwhelmed, the protagonist tries to apologize again but is abruptly struck by a thrown object, causing her to cry out in shock. The classroom erupts with hostile shouts demanding she leave, as several students jeer and wave their phones aggressively. The protagonist cowers, apologizing repeatedly, but the verbal abuse escalates into a physical attack when a pair of scissors suddenly flies out of a pencil case toward her. Shock and fear flash across her face as she narrowly dodges the dangerous object. Just as the scissors fly toward the protagonist, a teacher swiftly blocks the attack with his arm, shocking everyone in the classroom. He sternly demands to know what the students are doing and orders them to return to their seats immediately. The room falls silent, and the teacher warns that any student who threw an object must report to the staff room afterward. The teacher announces the start of homeroom and informs the class that Hidaka and Sakaguchi are absent, while Sugawara will be taking a temporary leave due to health issues. The protagonist's guilt deepens as she recalls how her actions affected Sugawara, while she also senses Kuraishi's lingering anger toward her. Finally, the teacher mentions there will be an important announcement about the upcoming school trip. The teacher solemnly announces that due to the frequent accidents in their class, the school trip will proceed on a separate route, apart from the other classes. Despite the disappointment and confusion among the students, He emphasizes the importance of staying calm and within the teacher's supervision during activities. The protagonist quietly reflects on how much she had been looking forward to the trip, feeling the weight of the situation. The teacher encourages the class to focus on bonding within 1A despite some students wanting to join friends from other classes. Before announcing they will divide into groups for the trip, meanwhile, a few students eagerly express their desire to stay together. But the protagonist feels the sting of whispered blame, sensing that some hold her responsible for others missing out on the trip. Her guilt deepens as she questions whether she should even participate. The teacher asks if there are still any groups with open spots, prompting a hesitant student to speak up. He then points out that the protagonist's group is short on members, surprising those nearby. Despite this, one student nervously insists they have no connection with the protagonist or the others, revealing the social distance growing between them. The teacher gently encourages the hesitant students, suggesting that the trip could be a chance to deepen bonds despite initial awkwardness. One student quietly agrees, while another apologizes to the group, asking for their understanding. Meanwhile, two students exchange a whispered comment, clearly frustrated and calling the situation the worst, as the protagonist silently reflects on the growing divide. Unexpectedly, a quiet girl steps forward and asks if she can join the protagonist's group, catching everyone off guard. The others react with surprise and hesitation, unsure how to respond. The girl's calm yet determined expression hints at a deeper connection as she softly calls out the protagonist's name. Tension fills the classroom as the students discuss the unsettling atmosphere of their group. One girl nervously calls out to Mochizuki, who hesitantly responds, clearly uneasy. The conversation turns heavy as Kuraishi quietly asks if Mochizuki is the cause of the doll-related troubles, revealing deeper worries about a classmate named Megumi being hospitalized and another, Kyo, refusing to attend school. Fear grips the girl as she realizes she might be next in line, her voice trembling with dread. Others panic, suggesting a class reshuffle to escape the looming threat. Overwhelmed, she desperately questions what will happen to her. Will she be sewn up, disappear, or even be killed? One girl urgently reassures the trembling girl that the doll was destroyed by Sakaguchi, not some curse. She explains she even saw the doll burning in the factory fire, hoping to ease the growing fear. Still shaken, the girl struggles to believe it, while others quietly apologize for not explaining everything clearly before. One student warns that even if the doll isn't the cause, Damaki and Takamine's group will still be targeted. Apologizing quietly, the girl promises to keep her distance as much as possible. The others agree, deciding to act cautiously moving forward. The doctor reassures her that although the scars remain, her arm shows no abnormalities and she can safely go on the school trip. Despite this, she hesitates, feeling conflicted about going. Deep down, she believes it might be better not to go for everyone's sake, even as she struggles with the thought of lying to her father again. As the girl is pushed down the hallway in a wheelchair, a familiar voice calls out to her, surprising everyone. The girl's expression shifts as she recognizes the person. While the one pushing her politely asks to speak with her mother alone, the girl quietly suggests continuing the conversation in the hospital room, tension lingering in the air. The girl's eyes widen in shock as she asks if the doll could be the cause of everything. The visitor nervously apologizes, confessing they saw the class line and heard about the doll that Nozuki had. She admits to picking up the doll herself, fearing she might have provoked its anger. The girl anxiously asks about the doll's current state, and the visitor reassures her that Sakaguchi-kun broke it, so it's fine now. The woman, surprised to hear Sakaguchi's name, wonders if the doll problem has truly been resolved. The visitor admits that the real issue now lies between her and Mochizuki, apologizing for involving the girl and confessing she ran away out of fear, unable to face the situation or even visit. The woman in the hospital bed quietly admits that she's still alive because Mochizuki never gave up searching for her. She reveals that Mochizuki even asked the doctor about her, showing how deeply she was cared for. The visitor apologizes sincerely for using Mochizuki, but the woman gently tells her not to blame herself for anything. The woman suddenly brightens and suggests the school trip, asking the girl to bring back a souvenir since she can't go herself. The girl, surprised but touched, agrees quietly, moved by the gentle request. The investigators discuss the fire's cause, confirming it started from the tobacco at the scene. They note that witnesses all mention dolls, but no solid leads have emerged, and the suspects have been avoiding contact, complicating the case. One officer suggests the doll story might just be a childish excuse tied to urban legends, dismissing it as nonsense. The investigators confirm that no dolls were found at the scene, casting doubt on the witnesses' stories. The mystery of the dolls remains unresolved amidst the wreckage. The class prepares to board the bus, with instructions to load their luggage before getting on. Some students express doubt about one person's serious participation, feeling it might be too much trouble. Meanwhile, the protagonist quietly decides to spend the trip calmly and buy a souvenir for Hidaka. Despite some reservations, the group is finally all together, ready to begin their journey. The teacher announces the start of their 4-day, 3-night school trip, explaining that the first day will mainly involve bus tours of sightseeing spots. Some students quietly complain that other classes have more fun destinations like amusement parks, blaming one person for their boring itinerary. The teacher reminds everyone to speak up if they feel unwell and wishes them a good trip, while one student looks on pensively. The group shares a lively moment as one student offers sweets to the teacher, brightening the mood. Meanwhile, the protagonist quietly eats alone, feeling a bit out of place as others chat and laugh nearby. Suddenly, the protagonist accidentally bumps into someone, startled by the unexpected encounter. Later, the teacher calls everyone to gather outside after the long bus ride, instructing them to leave their luggage in their assigned rooms before meeting in the large hall. The students arrive at their lodging, commenting on the remote mountain location and how lucky they are it's winter, or else they'd be swarmed by bugs. They note the rooms are old but surprisingly decent. However, frustration grows as the poor cell signal ruins their plans to play mobile games, and they complain about the disappointing rooms. Meanwhile, one student quietly decides to head to the shared restroom to freshen up. Suddenly, a confident girl bursts into the restroom, calling out to Tomoko with authority. The others nearby react with surprise and a mix of nervousness and relief, realizing they've finally escaped the teacher's watchful eye. The assertive girl then corners Tomoko, grabbing her collar and accusing her of not understanding the gravity of participating in the school trip. The confident girl harshly scolds Tomoko, accusing her of being indifferent to the victims and ruining the trip for everyone. Without warning, she grabs Tomoko by the collar and shoves her violently. Tomoko crashes to the floor, stunned and struggling to recover from the sudden attack. As Tomoko tries to quietly peek through the blinds, a sharp voice warns her to stop spying and not to come out from there. The tension rises as she hesitates, caught between fear and curiosity. Meanwhile, the others nearby awkwardly try to get attention, unsure of how to intervene. The confident girl coldly turns away, clearly aware of the situation. Meanwhile, two classmates nervously explain that they were just assigned to the same class by the teacher and have no connection with the girl named Nozuki. Suddenly, a cheerful voice calls out, inviting Hanacha, Kiapi, and Hadarun to join them. As the door is pushed open, the tension rises with a desperate plea from inside, begging to be let out. The door slams shut, leaving the hallway eerily quiet. The girl watches silently, anxiety creeping in as she realizes the others have left, trapped and uncertain. She contemplates whether to stay hidden until the three return, or if she must endure the night locked away. The girl listens intently as a desperate voice pounds on the closet door, demanding to be let out. Panic rises as the voice pleads, explaining it's someone trapped inside the closet. She hesitates, torn between fear and the urgent need to help. Startled by a sudden noise, she presses her hands against the door, eyes wide with surprise. As the sound continues, she nervously thanks whoever is moving the luggage, but confusion sets in when silence follows. She wonders anxiously who could be there, and why no one is responding to her questions. Peering through the slats, she's struck by the eerie emptiness. No one is there. Her heart pounds as she nervously calls out, struggling to believe the space is truly empty. Desperation creeps in as she asks the silent presence, "Who are you?" The group realizes that the outdoor activity planned for tomorrow might be canceled due to rain. Dampening their spirits, one girl apologizes for forgetting her phone and decides to head back, while another laments the continuous bad luck with the weather. Meanwhile, a lone figure quietly slips away into a dark room, and a thoughtful young man reflects on how their school trip just can't seem to catch a break. The girl hesitates quietly outside a closed door, her expression tense, gathering courage. She slowly opens the door, only to be immediately called out by someone inside. Her face tightens with unease as she hears her name. The door creaks open as a voice quietly calls her name, making her heart race. She nervously asks if the doll is truly gone now, her voice barely above a whisper. Standing there, she gathers her resolve and calls out to Mochizuki-san, seeking answers. Her voice sharpens with frustration as she demands why no one acted sooner to stop the doll's curse. She recalls how only Mochizuki-san could have helped, yet failed to offer support when it was needed most. Bitterly, she accuses him of tearing apart their once close-knit trio, shattering the bond they all shared. Her eyes narrow sharply as she suppresses a sudden shiver, covering her mouth in a tense gesture. Wiping away a tear, she steadies herself and steps inside, calling out hesitantly, The door creaks open to reveal a chaotic scene. An overturned chair and scattered luggage hint at a hurried departure, leaving her alone in the unsettling silence. She peers into the empty closet, her eyes searching for any sign of life. When no one answers, a cold realization dawns on her. If he's not here, then who am I really connected to now? The question hangs heavy as doubt and loneliness settle in. A sudden, chilling presence looms behind her, casting a dark shadow that freezes her in place. Her wide eyes reflect a mix of fear and disbelief as a haunting question pierces the silence. Is it really okay to be with friends? She wonders quietly who it was that opened the closet for her. Since no one was there when she came out, a lingering sense of detachment settles in as she questions whether he didn't want her to know, or simply didn't want to be involved. A sudden flash of lightning startles her, the storm outside raging fiercely. She steadies herself, noting the harsh thunder rolling through the night. Searching through her bag, she finally finds what she was looking for, a small moment of relief amid the tension. The quiet room is pierced by a sudden realization as she notices something unexpected. Her eyes widen in shock, the weight of a troubling thought settling in. She recalls a detail about Kurayashi's character, questioning just how much he had been hiding all along. Her eyes fixate on the zipper, a sudden shock washing over her. She reaches out, trembling, disbelief clouding her expression. But the voice in her mind insists otherwise. There are no dolls left anymore, so this can't be happening. Her trembling hands unzip the bag, revealing a horrifying sight. A lifeless figure curled up inside, stitched and pale, like a twisted doll come to life. The shock overwhelms her as a scream escapes into the stormy night, sealing the chilling discovery. Tension rises as the girls confront the protagonist, demanding an explanation about the missing dolls. She apologizes, insisting she thought they were properly destroyed, but their frustration only grows. The atmosphere thickens with doubt and unease as suspicions start to surface. Doubt turns to disbelief as one girl questions if there's only one doll left, while another demands to know what the dolls really are. The protagonist admits she only picked up the doll and didn't investigate further. Apologizing quietly, just then, a sudden knock at the door interrupts the tense confrontation. The knock at the door grows more urgent as the girls plead for Mochizuki to open it. Hesitant and weighed down by unease, she slowly turns the handle, bracing herself for what lies beyond. Mochizuki opens the door, holding a stack of boxes with a guarded expression beneath her mask. She explains that tonight, the teachers are eating in separate rooms, so the others are elsewhere. Apologizing quietly, she admits she couldn't open the closet back then. The girls exchange uneasy glances, but one assures her not to worry. The girls argue about having to share the bathroom despite being told the room is locked, one complaining about the fear of dolls appearing. Reluctantly, one agrees to accompany the other, stepping into the dim hallway. Meanwhile, another girl reflects on a class message about Nozuki, the doll's owner, who must treat her dolls kindly or risk a curse, connecting it to the earlier apology from Kuraishi. In the bathroom, the girl calls out for toilet paper, tossing the empty roll upward like a game. The boy catches it with a smile, but quickly notices something off. He hasn't actually thrown it yet. His expression shifts from casual to uneasy as the realization sinks in. Suddenly, the girl screams in terror, lunging forward as if something unseen has shocked her. The boy tries to call out, confused and alarmed, but she stumbles and falls hard to the floor. Catching her breath, she covers her mouth, clearly shaken by whatever just happened. The eerie girl locks eyes with the boy, her voice chilling as she asks if he's really going to leave her behind. The boy's shock deepens when she calls him by name, his fear mounting as the unsettling encounter grows more intense. A sudden scream breaks the tense silence, drawing the boy's full attention. He rushes over to find the girl collapsed and trembling, urgently asking what's wrong. As they both turn toward a shadowy figure retreating down the hallway, the boy's confusion deepens, questioning what they just witnessed. The boy trembles, overwhelmed by the terrifying reality that the doll truly exists. His mind races as he questions if he's really going to leave his friends behind. Suddenly, footsteps thunder down the hallway as two girls rush into the room, one calling out his name with concern. The two girls hurriedly apologize for leaving her behind before, their sincerity catching her off guard. One explains she just went to buy drinks from the vending machine, trying to ease the tension. As they chat, the mood lightens, and they realize that despite the rocky start, they've already become friends through their shared experiences and fate of being in the same class. As she scrolls through her phone, the girl notices a flood of messages asking if she's okay, if they can call her Tomoko, and if she wants to act together tomorrow. One message stands out boldly: "Let's be friends." Shocked, She wonders what's really happening as the screen fills with unexpected warmth and connection. The group is informed that due to last night's dust storm causing flooding and landslides, outdoor movement is restricted, and all learning will take place indoors. As the students gather in the cafeteria, the protagonist reflects on their isolation caused by poor communication signals and the looming threat targeting them, knowing full well the urgency of their situation. Despite the tension in the air, classmates try to break the ice with cheerful greetings and casual chatter about the storm last night. One offers a small gift, while others eagerly invite the protagonist to join their group for a photo, attempting to lighten the mood amid the uncertainty. The atmosphere has shifted. Everyone feels different from just yesterday. While some students gather and chat lightly, others eat quietly, the unease palpable. Our hero's eyes widen with a sudden, tense realization, sensing the weight of the change around them. A cheerful classmate apologizes for being too lively yesterday, trying to ease the tension with a warm smile. She earnestly suggests they act like true friends from now on. While the protagonist hesitantly responds, unsure but willing to listen, the atmosphere softens slightly, hinting at a fragile hope for connection despite the underlying unease. Tension spikes as the group confronts the unsettling truth. Everyone is anxious about the dolls. The protagonist quietly admits feeling useless to the others and wonders if the dolls might be closer to her than anyone realizes. She hesitates, suggesting it might be better if she stays out of it altogether. The tension rises as one voice warns that staying uninvolved could be deadly. Another urges not to say such things and insists they face the danger together. With a determined smile, a classmate declares they are all friends and must unite as a whole class to overcome the threat. With a burst of energy, a classmate eagerly urges the protagonist to speak up and share her thoughts. The protagonist looks caught off guard, exchanging confused glances with another student. Suddenly, she stands up abruptly, leaving the room charged with tension and unanswered questions. Tensions explode as one girl suddenly throws a glass of water in the protagonist's face, shattering the fragile calm. With cold eyes, she taunts, "Did you think I'd be gentle?" Her harsh words cut deeper. She doesn't care about the curse and refuses to apologize. Nearby, a shocked classmate watches the confrontation unfold, stunned by the sudden violence. With a cold, unwavering gaze, she declares it's better to die than to lose oneself completely. The protagonist sits silently, stunned by the harsh truth. Meanwhile, others react with mixed shock and awkwardness, as a cheerful classmate suddenly bursts out with an unexpected, bubbly confession of love. Concern floods the room as classmates rush to check on the protagonist, offering towels and urging her to use them. Amid the awkward tension, one student nervously invites another to eat together, while another reacts with surprise and confusion. The atmosphere shifts from shock to uneasy attempts at normalcy. Trying to ease the tension, a girl offers a nervous smile and suggests they stick to the rules and eat by their groups. Meanwhile, a boy apologizes quietly, respecting another's wishes, while two classmates share a relieved laugh, feeling reassured that things are calming down. Suddenly, a voice calls out, catching one boy's attention and breaking the fragile calm. The tension sharpens as one boy warns that if things continue like this, they might all get caught up in Takamine's trouble with Nozuki. Another reluctantly agrees, noting how no one is getting along. Meanwhile, two classmates exchange uneasy glances, clearly unsettled. The scene closes with a girl teasingly clinging to Takamine, who remains stoic, hinting at unresolved feelings as the story promises to continue. With a nervous smile and hands pressed together in apology, she asks everyone to forget what happened in the cafeteria. The tension lingers, but she hopes to move past it without any hard feelings. The atmosphere shifts as a sharp voice calls out, accusing them of shamelessness given their previous attitude. The tension is palpable, and one student tries to defuse the situation, urging everyone to just let the cultural festival issue go. Another, caught off guard, reacts with disbelief, highlighting the fragile balance in the room. The tension escalates as one student coldly accuses them of bullying without cause, pointing out their shamelessness. Another retorts, calling them spineless for now turning their jealousy towards someone else. Meanwhile, three students stand awkwardly, sensing the situation slipping further out of control. A girl, hurt and on the verge of tears, pleads for kindness, shocked by the harshness of the accusations despite her genuine support for Aika. Trying to mend the fractured atmosphere, one girl earnestly suggests they cooperate and see the school trip as a chance to deepen their bonds, insisting they are friends, but the tension sharpens as another coldly counters, declaring she never considered them friends from the start, leaving the first girl visibly shaken. The tension erupts as the boy lashes out, demanding the girl to stop and face reality. Both Mochizuki and Inaba have been targeted, He warns her that if she refuses to cooperate, she should leave, accusing her of putting them all in danger. Calm but firm, the girl counters that there's no reason to kick her out, standing her ground against his outburst. Frustrated and resolute, the boy storms out, forcefully dragging his suitcase through the open window. As it crashes onto the ground below, he warns that if she insists on her stance, they too will have to choose their own methods to survive. The tension escalates as she grabs him by the collar, demanding he take responsibility. Their friends watch anxiously from the doorway, caught between fear and hope. With steely resolve, they exchange a sharp ultimatum: cooperate or face the consequences alone. The confrontation reaches a boiling point as they shout accusations, each blaming the other for the deadly consequences of their choices. Their friends watch in alarm, desperately trying to intervene before things spiral further out of control. A tense report breaks the uneasy silence. Takamine has lost control and caused a scene. Suddenly, the mood shifts as another announces it's lunchtime with a burst of energy. Meanwhile, a quiet observation is made about the earlier commotion, hinting that something serious must have happened behind closed doors. The tension lingers as one student points out how everyone's stress is building up, noting that spending the whole day studying hardly feels like a school trip. Suddenly, another breaks the mood with an enthusiastic call to head to the cafeteria, rallying the group to take a break. As they walk, a light-hearted conversation begins about being envied for their class, easing the atmosphere just a bit. With a bright smile, one student thanks Mochizuki for everything, saying they're truly glad to be in the same class now. The quiet girl responds hesitantly, unsure how to reply. The mood lightens further as the cheerful student remarks on how surprising it is that the class's fortunes have completely turned around. Just then, a sudden splash breaks the moment. As the cheerful mood breaks, a girl suddenly slips, spilling her tray and scattering food all over herself. She apologizes with a sheepish smile, admitting her hand slipped, while others react with surprise and concern. Tensions rise as the protagonist scolds the girl for the mess she's made, demanding she clean it up properly. The shattered plate and spilled food emphasize the chaos, while a nearby girl watches in shock, struggling to understand the situation. Meanwhile, the girl responsible remains silent, her expression unreadable and heavy with emotion. The tension escalates as the girl with twin buns yells out in frustration, demanding order. Meanwhile, others nearby exchange uneasy glances, trying to rationalize the incident as an accident, but doubt lingers in the air. One student quietly questions the situation, sensing there's more beneath the surface. The girl with twin buns fiercely defends Tomoko, warning that Takamine is trying to hurt her. Meanwhile, the protagonist looks stunned and confused, questioning if this is about her. Another student suddenly brightens, seemingly realizing something important, while the girl responsible remains silent, her expression cold and unreadable. A confident student steps forward, handing a glass to Mochizuki and urging her to take action too. Mochizuki's eyes widen in surprise, but the boy insists that all the pent-up resentment needs to be released. He reminds her of the morning's incident, encouraging her to get back at them. The boy urges Mochizuki to finally take action, reminding her that she's endured cruelty for too long and that they're friends who should stand together. Mochizuki's eyes widen in shock and hesitation as she clutches the glass, the weight of the moment sinking in. Nearby, the girl who caused the trouble glares fiercely, her expression dark and unyielding. With a trembling yet resolute voice, she firmly refuses to go along with the plan. Her eyes squeezed shut as she declares she doesn't want any of this. The room falls silent, the tension thick as those around her react with shock and disbelief. One girl's expression hardens, quietly confronting her with a mix of hurt and accusation. As the girl cautiously approaches with a glass of water, she softly asks if the other is all right. Their eyes meet, and a flicker of intense emotion passes between them, hinting at the weight of unspoken feelings beneath the surface. With fierce determination, she confronts the other, accusing her of only caring about not being hated while trampling on her feelings. The sharp words leave the girl stunned, her eyes wide with shock as the tension between them escalates. The stunned girl struggles to process the accusation, her mind racing as she questions what she could possibly mean to Takamine. Her expression is a mix of confusion and dawning realization, caught off guard by the weight of the emotions now laid bare between them. With a gentle smile, she reassures the other that it's okay to be stubborn sometimes, admitting it can be a hassle. Her warmth shines through as she promises to stay by her side, reflecting on a past moment. She expresses how grateful and happy she was when she was helped during middle school, bringing a nostalgic and heartfelt tone to their conversation. The girl confidently declares that Mashiro is a true friend. Unlike the other's gaze softens, touched by the sincerity behind the words. Their playful exchange continues, with Mashiro teasing that she's the one who gets bullied, inviting questions since she's the senior, while the other protests, insisting she's not bragging. Hidden beneath the floor, the girl's wide eyes reflect a sudden, intense realization. Within her gaze, the image of a smiling woman lingers, hinting at a deeper connection that will unfold next. The group has been kicked out of their room, and the teacher is heading to do the laundry while telling the others to stay put. One of the girls cheerfully announces she borrowed the key to a separate room because the teacher was feeling hot, apologizing for the trouble. As she enters the laundry area, she notices the door mysteriously open and wonders who could have opened it. Peering cautiously over the edge of the washing machine, her wide eyes reveal a mix of curiosity and unease. Suddenly, the girl in the background stumbles back in shock, startled by something unseen. Meanwhile, another character calmly observes, noting the situation with a quiet remark. The girl's eerie figure emerges slowly from the washing machine, her long hair obscuring her face. The tension spikes as the other girl, wide-eyed and trembling, asks with a chilling calmness if this is truly a real friend. The conversation shifts as one girl nervously asks about the nature of Ai-chan's friendship, recalling a mention of fake friendship. Another girl clarifies, insisting that true friendship means standing by each other no matter what, emphasizing the value of genuine support through all times. Nervously twisting her tie, the girl asks if that means it's not okay. The other responds quietly but firmly. Then, "I'll be watching you, always." Her intense gaze locks onto the girl, promising unwavering attention. The tension escalates as one girl rushes in, demanding the return of something important. Another girl nervously suggests telling Ai-chan about the situation, while a group nearby argues heatedly, denying any knowledge. The scene shifts to a messy room where the missing wallet incident is revealed, leaving the girls uneasy. Frustration boils over as one girl insists it's obvious the wallet went missing due to someone's own negligence, not others. Another suggests calmly that checking everyone's bags might clear things up. While the tension in the room thickens, meanwhile, a quiet realization dawns on a freckled girl, as it becomes clear that the missing item wasn't taken from anyone in the room, but the person who had the most contact with others outside their group might hold the key. The freckled girl firmly insists that Mochizuki couldn't have stolen the wallet, sparking a moment of agreement. Attention then shifts to Shiratori's belongings, where one girl opens the bag to reveal only clothes and a white wallet, easing the tension. As the freckled girl inspects the bag, the atmosphere calms, and the possibility of a misunderstanding begins to settle in. The freckled girl holds up a wallet confidently, declaring it to be hers. The others react with surprise and confusion, their expressions shifting as the tension thickens once more. The unexpected claim sparks a new wave of uncertainty among the group. The tension erupts as accusations fly, with one girl angrily blaming the protagonist and her group for causing trouble. The protagonist desperately protests her innocence, insisting she truly doesn't know anything. Meanwhile, another girl fiercely defends the protagonist, condemning the real culprits for their sneaky behavior and accusing them of framing the group by tampering with their belongings. A calm girl recalls a past incident during the cultural festival, hinting that this kind of culprit hunting happened before. The protagonist's expression shifts to surprise as she remembers someone named Nozuki discarding a certain can. Meanwhile, the group stands together quietly, processing the new revelation. A sudden accusation breaks the silence. Someone reveals that the true informant is Shiratori. The group's shock is palpable as they exchange stunned glances, the weight of this new claim sinking in. The tension rises as the boy reveals he actually witnessed the whole situation. Waiting at the school gate that day, the girls react nervously, caught off guard by this unexpected confession. The atmosphere shifts as the truth begins to unravel. The boy continues, explaining that he followed Mochizuki and Shiratori afterward, witnessing Shiratori picking up something Mochizuki had discarded. Despite this, one girl dismisses his account as baseless, insisting there's no proof and no benefit in a secret confession. The boy calmly counters, hinting that there is indeed evidence to support his story. The boy confronts Shiratori, accusing her of jealousy toward Mochizuki all along, especially as their relationship improved during the cultural festival preparations. He suggests Shiratori's feelings might have even led her to resent Sugawara back then, challenging her with a knowing smirk. Meanwhile, the girls exchange uneasy glances, clearly shaken by his pointed words. Tension rises as the girl accused of stealing the wallet looks down, clearly shaken and sweating nervously. Another girl questions her with a sharp gaze, asking if she's really okay with being labeled a thief. Defiantly, the accused insists she's not the one who stole it, her voice trembling but firm. Meanwhile, A third girl, concerned, asks why she's making such a troubled face. The boy presses the accused girl, urging her to firmly deny the theft if she's truly innocent. His smirk laced with doubt, the girl, caught off guard and visibly shaken, struggles with the weight of his challenge. Meanwhile, others around them react with a mix of disbelief and concern, the tension in the room thickening. The boy's expression hardens as he demands, "What am I supposed to believe?" The accused girl's eyes widen in panic, her voice barely a whisper as she stammers. Suddenly overwhelmed, she breaks down and flees, repeatedly apologizing as she runs away. She runs away, gasping for breath, and leans against the wall, overwhelmed by her emotions. Her mind spirals with fear, wondering if she's truly been hated and rejected. Collapsing into herself, she quietly calls out her own name, lost and desperate. The girl confronts him with piercing eyes, asking why he ran away and if he was never truly her friend after all. The boy recoils in shock, caught off guard by her intense accusation. Her expression is unwavering, demanding the truth beneath the surface. The girl struggles to find the words, her voice trembling as she tries to explain herself. Suddenly, the other girl grabs her by the hair, pulling her down forcefully. The protagonist cries out in pain, begging her to stop as she's dragged across the floor. Desperation breaks through as she calls out, "Aika-chan," with urgency, reaching out as if to hold onto something slipping away. Meanwhile, the others exchange heavy, silent glances, weighed down by the bitter truth of betrayal. The tension lingers as one girl quietly exits, leaving a charged silence behind. The girl quietly apologizes, still worried despite her words. A heavy unease settles over her, as if something bad is looming. Meanwhile, another woman checks her phone anxiously, calling out Mashiro and asking where she is, clearly concerned about the earlier situation. The girls form glitches and distorts, as if her very existence is unraveling before their eyes. Panic surges as one voice urgently calls out her name, desperate to reach her through the chaos. The others watch in stunned silence, their shock mirrored in wide, fearful eyes. The tension rises as two girls anxiously call out for Mashiro, desperate to find her. One of them clutches her phone, relief washing over her face as she confirms Mashiro is alive. But just as hope flickers, a sudden shock grips her. Something is terribly wrong. A distorted, tear-streaked face appears on the screen, whispering in pain and desperately asking, "Aika, where are you?" The two girls recoil in horror, one screaming while the other urgently demands to know where the mysterious figure is. The phone trembles in her hand as the chilling message sinks in. Frustrated and desperate, she demands the location, refusing to accept vague apologies. The distorted figure on the phone, glitching and tear-streaked, quietly confesses that Aika was everything to her, deepening the mystery and pain. The girl with glasses sits quietly, reflecting on how everyone says she's strange. Scrawled insults on the desk reveal the harsh judgment she faces at school. Yet, despite the isolation, the only one who truly stood by her was Aika, offering a rare sense of support. She understood why Aika couldn't ignore someone like Tomoko, but now even Aika wouldn't be just her ally anymore. Wishing their friendship could remain untroubled, she felt the weight of how important it all had become, and yet, she was scared to confront it head-on. The distorted figure, tears streaming down her face, admits her fear that she might be the next to be hated by Aika. She bitterly confesses that these aren't true friends. She only wanted someone on her side, but now she feels like a filthy human being. Watching this, the girl with glasses quietly utters Aika's name, her expression heavy with sorrow. With a chilling calmness, the girl with long hair grips the distorted figure's tangled locks, whispering that she will make it beautiful. The eerie tension escalates as two onlookers, alarmed, rush forward, shouting for her to stop. Suddenly alert, our hero hears a strange noise and calls it out, prompting her and the other girl to rush toward the source. Their footsteps echo down the hallway as they hurry, tension mounting with every step. The two girls arrive at a coin laundry, the sound of the machines humming steadily filling the air. The girl with long hair mutters in frustration, while the other quietly repeats the chilling phrase, "Make it beautiful," her eyes wide with unease. As one reaches out to the washing machine, both freeze, sensing something unexpected just beyond the curtain. Inside the washing machine, a bloodied girl curls up, her tear-streaked face pressed against a grotesque, fish-like creature. The two onlookers recoil in horror, one screaming in terror as the chilling scene unfolds before them. Desperately, she pulls the injured girl from the washing machine, pleading for her to hold on and stay conscious. The wounded girl weakly leans against her, barely responsive, Nearby, the other girl covers her mouth, overwhelmed by the horrifying sight. Overwhelmed by despair, one girl clutches her arm as dark tears stream down her face, desperately shouting for the nightmare to stop. Meanwhile, the injured girl remains weak in the arms of her companion. The weight of the horror pressing down on them all. The room feels suffocating, as if the darkness itself is closing in. In a moment of desperation, the protagonist clings tightly to a wounded comrade, anguish and determination etched on their face. Others rush to their side, urgently calling for an ambulance as tension fills the air. The gravity of the situation weighs heavily on everyone, leaving them desperate for answers and a way to save their friend. The wounded comrade, barely conscious, is gently comforted as someone urges them to stay quiet and wait, promising that everything will be all right. Another figure watches closely, asking for forgiveness on behalf of the injured. The atmosphere is thick with unspoken emotions as the protagonist and the onlooker exchange a tense, silent glance. The wounded comrade, barely conscious, murmurs something about returning to a past self, their voice weak and uncertain. Meanwhile, a call comes through with bad news. The ambulance cannot reach them because the road is blocked by dirt and sand. The group's hope falters as they realize help is still out of reach, their faces reflecting growing despair. Determined to take action, the protagonist offers to carry the injured comrade through the forest path despite the pain it causes. With urgency, they announce the immediate cancellation of the school trip, insisting that the students must not be informed of what's happening. The others silently acknowledge the gravity of the decision, their expressions heavy with resolve. Braving the pouring rain, the protagonist carries the injured comrade on their back, apologizing quietly as they promise to reach safety soon. Each determined step splashes through the wet ground, the weight of responsibility heavy but unwavering. Despite the struggle, they admit to themselves that they had underestimated the challenge ahead. As the group debates canceling the school trip, the atmosphere among the classmates begins to shift. They realize that the doll, once thought to be harmless, is actually a catalyst that could either strengthen or break their bonds. Feeling the pressure, one student anxiously reflects on the urgency to protect their fragile relationships before it's too late. Carrying the injured comrade through the relentless rain, the protagonist apologizes quietly, feeling the heavy burden of having to halt the school trip. They believe that if they can just lead everyone away from this place, even against their will, they might find safety. Yet, a chilling realization creeps in. The doll itself does not kill people, but something far more terrifying is at play. Drenched in rain and despair, the protagonist's tears blur their vision as they confess that it no longer matters whether anyone lives or dies. Clinging to their injured friend, they vow to deliver them safely before turning back, steeling themselves against the overwhelming darkness. A sudden, fierce punch echoes, breaking the tense silence with raw determination. Frustration boils over as the protagonist clenches a fist against the wall, demanding to know why it's not them instead of Mashiro. With fierce resolve, they vow to find and destroy the doll once and for all. But a calmer voice warns that even if the doll was broken before, it always comes back, making destruction a futile effort. Desperation erupts as the protagonist demands to know what they're supposed to do next. The other, shaken and uncertain, admits they don't understand either but insists everyone must be warned. With a trembling voice, she reveals the crucial warning. The key must never be opened. The door creaks open slowly, revealing a cautious figure peeking inside. After a tense moment, they step in with a relieved smile, admitting it might have all been just a false alarm. The other person, still wary, asks if everything is truly all right, but the first insists nothing unusual was found. The door opens wider, revealing a doll-like figure with hauntingly vacant eyes. The calm voice turns accusatory, declaring the protagonist is not truly a friend, but something else entirely. The chilling revelation hangs in the air as the story promises more to come. The tension rises as one girl confronts the other, questioning why she stays silent while everyone else bullies her and ignores not only her, but also others close to her. The weight of isolation and betrayal hangs heavily in the air, leaving the protagonist visibly shaken and speechless. The girl quietly admits she doesn't want anyone else to get hurt because of her, but the other girl coldly snaps, accusing her of pretending to be the good girl, again and revealing she actually despises her deep down. The tension between them sharpens as harsh truths cut through the fragile silence. The harsh words hang in the air as the protagonist quietly apologizes, but the other girl cuts her off, telling her to stop offering empty apologies. A cold reminder follows, recalling how the protagonist also discarded something important during the cultural festival, deepening the weight of their confrontation. The classroom falls into a heavy silence as all eyes turn toward the protagonist, leaving her frozen and overwhelmed. She stammers, struggling to find her voice amid the intense scrutiny and rising tension. The weight of everyone's gaze presses down on her, deepening her sense of isolation and confusion. The tension escalates as a bold classmate steps forward, fiercely defending Tomoko and rejecting any notion that she would betray a secret. She bluntly calls out the real culprit, accusing Sakiguchi of drinking and trying to shift the blame onto Tomoko. Her passionate defense momentarily shifts the atmosphere, as others watch quietly, caught between doubt and surprise. Overwhelmed by the mounting pressure, the protagonist lowers her head and quietly apologizes, her voice barely steady. The classroom murmurs with uneasy whispers, questioning if her apology is a confession born from fear of rejection or a desperate attempt to make things right. The weight of doubt and suspicion hangs heavily in the air as she stands isolated, struggling to face the judgment of her peers. The protagonist confronts the one who accused her, asking what happens to her now, the one who once trusted her. With a cold resolve, the accuser reveals that if she hadn't apologized, she would have remained an ally, but instead, she chose to abandon her friends for her own sake. The weight of this betrayal hits hard, leaving the protagonist stunned and speechless. The accuser confronts the protagonist with harsh truths, revealing that she's always been indifferent to others. Putting on a facade while sinking lower, she challenges whether the protagonist truly understands what it means to be a classmate, and insists that this is something she still needs to face. The protagonist is left speechless, grappling with the weight of these words. Overwhelmed by guilt, she stammers out an apology, her voice trembling as she admits she might have been like a puppet all along. Suddenly, a piercing scream shatters the tense silence, leaving her shocked and fearful. The weight of the moment presses down as she looks up, realization dawning in her eyes. The protagonist's mind races, struggling to understand why her kindness toward Tomoko seemed so one-sided. Suddenly, she snaps to attention, her heart pounding as a chilling figure emerges. A ghostly girl stained with blood, holding out a bloodied photograph. The eerie presence asks if she will truly watch over and protect her friends, sending the protagonist into a terrified plea for it to stop. The protagonist, trembling and covered in blood, clutches a broken shard to her face, her expression a mix of shock and pain. In the background, a haunting scream echoes, heightening the terror of the moment. Meanwhile, a shadowed figure pores over a book, methodically crossing out names, coldly declaring, "This one too, I don't need." Surrounded by the lifeless, bloodied bodies of her friends, the ghostly girl coldly repeats that she doesn't need them. Her hollow, spiraling eyes fixate on the protagonist as she declares that the real friends simply do not exist. The chilling final words hang heavy, leaving a haunting silence before the story continues. The two women cautiously explore a quiet, empty hallway, noting the eerie silence in every room. One of them senses something unsettling, her expression tense and alert. Suddenly, a door creaks open, revealing a mysterious figure inside, prompting a hesitant call from the woman outside. Stepping inside, the woman is horrified to find large, blood-stained bags lying on the beds and floor. Her heart races as she hesitantly approaches one, whispering in disbelief, "What is this?" The shock deepens as she begins to uncover the grim contents, her face pale with fear. The woman uncovers a bloodied, unconscious figure inside one of the bags, her shock deepening as she recognizes him. Another woman rushes forward, calling out his name desperately while the first woman trembles in horror. Realization dawns on them both. Could all the other rooms hold victims like this? Determined despite her fear, the woman insists they must keep searching for the dolls. Meanwhile, the eerie girl stands frozen in the dim hallway, her wide eyes reflecting the chilling silence around her. The unsettling stillness deepens as the shadow of a figure looms nearby, heightening the tension. The boy casually questions if the real friends are really here, a faint smile playing on his lips as he checks his phone. The girl watches silently, her wide eyes reflecting a mix of confusion and unease. He then coldly remarks that there are no friends here, just as he said, adding with a bitter smile that people are fragile after all. The boy observes two classmates who seem to be spending time together on their day off. Noting how close they've become recently, he coldly explains that by sowing just a little seed of doubt, it becomes easy to lose trust in friends. His words hang heavy, shattering the fragile bonds of friendship like broken glass. The boy asks if his words weren't a lie, then extends an invitation for her to become his friend. He smiles warmly, holding up his phone and promising that being together will lead to capturing many interesting moments. The girl lashes out in anger, delivering a fierce strike that catches the boy off guard and sends him reeling backward, despite the blow. He smirks and wipes his mouth, calling her wild for losing control like that. Meanwhile, a new girl enters the room, her presence immediately shifting the atmosphere. Haunted by fear yet burdened with regret, she apologizes for always running away from him. Gathering courage, she admits she wants to face him honestly, as she questions why he causes such pain. The other girl quietly wonders if he's truly searching for real friends, and for what purpose. The pale girl stares intensely, uttering a solemn promise to Tomoko. Meanwhile, the other girl breaks down, blaming herself for everything and pleading that it's all for her sake. The tension thickens as the promise to make everyone friends hangs heavily in the air. The pale girl reveals a tattered, blood-stained notebook, her eyes wide with a chilling realization. She solemnly states that 2 people were missing, leaving the others stunned and speechless. The tension deepens as her gaze locks onto the others, hinting at a dark truth yet to be fully uncovered. The tension spikes as the pale girl grabs the boy by his shirt, demanding to know which of the 2, Takamine Aika or Miyoshi Yuri, is truly a friend. Their shocked expressions reveal the weight of her question, leaving everyone on edge. Tensions rise as the group confronts the little girl, questioning who her true friends really are. One of the boys insists he is her genuine friend, trying to reassure her despite the uncertainty hanging in the air. Meanwhile, a girl watches anxiously, realizing that only she might be able to change their current predicament. The girl suddenly steps forward, shouting for everyone to stop, her voice filled with urgency. She reflects quietly, realizing she has made the decision to confront the situation head-on. Kneeling before the little girl, she thanks her sincerely for all the effort she's made on her behalf until now. The girl admits she doesn't want friends who hurt others just to be close to her. She gently asks if they can finally put an end to this painful situation. The little girl looks up, stunned and deeply moved by the sincerity in her voice. The girl's calm yet determined words hang in the air, catching everyone off guard. She looks at the little girl with genuine concern, her expression softening as she waits for a response. Meanwhile, the little girl's eyes well up with tears, overwhelmed by the unexpected kindness and honesty. The little girl collapses, blood staining her dress as a knife lies beside her. Shock and disbelief ripple through the onlookers, their minds struggling to grasp the sudden, tragic turn. The haunting question echoes repeatedly, why? 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 As they confront the devastating reality. The little girl's wide, unblinking eyes stare intensely, her voice cold and unwavering as she utters the word betray. The weight of her words hangs heavily in the air, leaving the onlookers frozen in stunned silence. Our hero's expression shifts to one of shock and deep concern, caught off guard by the chilling declaration. The little girl, clutching the knife with a hauntingly blank expression, murmurs a trembling apology. Suddenly, another woman bursts in, forcefully intervening to protect the fallen girl, her face set with fierce determination. Our hero watches in shock, calling out a name with desperate urgency. The woman clutches her side in agony, the knife deeply embedded as she struggles to stay upright. Behind her, a shocked bystander calls out her name in horror. Meanwhile, a young man nearby turns away, his expression grim and conflicted. Suddenly, the little girl appears in front of him, her presence catching him completely off guard. His eyes widen in shock as he struggles to comprehend how she got there so quickly. In the distance, the injured woman is tended to, while the tension in the hallway thickens with unanswered questions. The young man reels back in shock as the little girl suddenly plunges a knife into his side, his mind racing to grasp the reality of facing multiple attackers. Nearby, the injured woman collapses further, her friend desperately calling out his name while blood drips from her mouth, a grim sign of her worsening condition. The tension tightens as the hallway becomes a scene of chaos and pain. The woman screams in terror as the little girl looms over the young man, her expression cold and unyielding. She demands he make a proper choice, her eerie calm contrasting sharply with the chaos around them. The young man struggles desperately, pleading for her to stop as he fights against her grip. The little girl's eyes widen with an unsettling intensity, her grip unrelenting as the young man's resistance falters. Nearby, the injured woman's gaze drifts, her strength fading rapidly. The hallway falls into eerie silence, the aftermath of the brutal struggle leaving all 3 collapsed on the floor.